Also, please look at my nails. I just did them myself yesterday. Very proud of them. Hi everyone, it's Angel. I just graduated from Caltech and I'm moving to New York to start my new life, joining the corporate world. Let's go, yay! Spoiler, yes, this is my current apartment, but you don't know what it looks like yet. Alright, anyway, let's get into the nitty-gritty of all the little stuff, the little details. I was looking for apartments with 2 other students from Caltech. I knew them from school and I knew that they were going to be in New York, so I thought might as well. So we're looking for 3-bedroom apartments. The budget for us, around $2,000 a person per month. My maximum for the budget was $2,500. I know that is really, really high. That's just how the market is in New York City. If you are looking for super luxury, very nice places, you will easily be paying at least $3,000. New York City apartments are just so expensive. And also keep in mind, I was looking for apartments in the summertime. That is the peak season because a lot of these landlords are looking for desperate little new grads who are trying to move to the city and start their lives. And that was me. I was aiming for a mid-September move-in date. Let's go over the must-haves for the apartment. Definitely safe location. I have never lived in New York City before. It's a big city. You never know what's gonna happen, especially in these subway car rides or whatever. I personally really needed at least 2 bathrooms. I could not imagine having just 1 bathroom for the 3 of us girls. I did have that kind of living situation at one of my internships before, and it was kind of horrible. I mean, it's just a lot of people for like only 1 bathroom. Also, if one person gets sick, then other people will get sick. The person who's sick is hogging up the bathroom, blah, blah, blah. Moral of the story, at least 2 bathrooms. I really wanted non-north facing windows. I have heard a lot about seasonal depression and I do not want seasonal depression. Yeah, I don't think anyone does. Lighting is a really big thing for me. I really love natural light, especially if I want to film videos. Another must-have, in-unit laundry. I could not imagine dragging my laundry out onto the streets or just like doing my laundry like I do in college. That was a big thing for me personally. AC, heater system, that's kind of a given. New York City gets so freaking hot and humid in the summertime, and in the winter time it's really, really cold, so you definitely need that. Also, for my personal room, I wanted to have enough space to fit both a bed and a desk. My other roommates also said that they wanted to have desks. I was okay with paying a bit more for like a bigger room. If the floor plan came out, I think it was kind of a given that I would be taking the biggest room. And then the last 2 things for location, apart from it being very safe, we wanted it to be less than a 30-minute commute to work, ideally less than a 10-minute walk from nearest subway lines, just for convenience if we want to go anywhere in the city. Nice to have. These are definitely just like asking for a lot, but like a big countertop is what I really wanted. A modern looking apartment with like fresh furnishes. I know I sound really stupid when I am saying that, but that was my nice to have in the beginning. Hardwood floor, elevator, doorman, especially if you're walking around New York City a lot already. Good workouts, but sometimes I don't want to be doing that all the time when I get to my apartment. No transfers when going to work. Sometimes that's just a bit inconvenient. So we agreed on all of those. Oh, I forgot to say, there are 5 boroughs. Yeah, boroughs. Since this is our first time moving to New York City, we wanted to be in Manhattan where everyone wants to be, but that's just more expensive. I think we were okay with any neighborhood in Manhattan. Last few things before we start doing apartment tours. Some things to know. People typically use StreetEasy. That's just like the common website. It's updated very frequently. They'll have new listings all the time. It's just like really convenient. There are also some requirements when you're applying to these apartments. The first thing is you want your annual salary to be at least 40 times your monthly rent. For example, if my monthly rent is $2,000 and multiply that by 40, my annual salary would have to be at least $80,000 for me to qualify. If you do not qualify for that, then you can also get a guarantor. In any case, if you aren't able to pay your rent, then they'll like kind of fill it in because they are supposed to make at least 80 times the monthly rent. And lastly, I promise you need to prepare the following documents. You can pause if you're interested. I don't want to bore you with all of this stuff. I prepared these documents before looking at these apartments just because I know how fast the market is. If I liked a place, then I would want to send in all of my documents as soon as possible to try to secure the apartment. Throughout this video, I'll also be mentioning some tips and other things that I've learned throughout this process because it was a very long, horrible process I do not want to go through again in a while. There are all just really important things that I think will help if you are ever looking for apartments. apartments in New York City. Whew, okay, let's look at apartments. So I did my first apartment tours in early August. The first apartment that I looked at was in Chinatown, 3-bed, 2-bath. Prices ranged from $6,200 to $6,600 a month, but there was also a 15% broker's fee. It's basically like adding an additional 15% to your rent every single month. The broker showed us 3 units. They were all pretty similar. It was a walk-up building, in-unit washer and dryer. The main unit we were looking at was on the 4th floor. Not horrible for a walk-up. When you walk in, you can see a lot of brick. I'm not the biggest fan of that. It looked very old, but the rooms were so small. You could barely fit a bed in there. Wow, these rooms are very small. Pretty small. In the video, you can literally hear my mom saying like 好小,这么小啊, which means like it's so small in Chinese. Closet 好小啊. Just looking at this apartment, I was not feeling it. So this was not a very good start. Just finished touring my very first New York apartment. That's New York for you. I don't want to move to New York anymore. Oh my god, like the entire time I was just thinking like I cannot imagine living here. I feel like I sound pretty spoiled. Of course I want like a luxury apartment, but then that's gonna be like obnoxiously expensive and the rent is already like very high. The places were so small. I don't know. I know I'm gonna have to like lower my expectations a lot. I was like, I do not want to move to New York City anymore if this is what all of the apartments look like. The broker was also rushing us a lot. He was saying this apartment, I think it already has an application and it will definitely be rented out. And I was like, I wouldn't really be in a rush to get this apartment. I was like, nope. It really put things into perspective. I realized, wow, the New York City market is definitely a lot harder and a lot more expensive than any other market. Oh my god. It's the most expensive city in the US. This was the worst first apartment to look at because it just made me feel super hopeless about moving to New York. But after I set my expectations low, I think it kind of helped for the future apartments that I would be looking at because I would be like, oh, this is pretty good. Right after that apartment, I went to the Upper East Side. This neighborhood is so nice. I can see why so many people love the Upper East Side because it's so much cleaner, super safe. The subways were super clean and they had escalators. The subway was also air conditioned. This was during the summertime, especially when you went into the subway stations, I would be sweating. So that was really nice. This apartment was $67.50 per month, no fee. Average of a little over $2,200 each a month. 3-bed, 2-bath, in-unit washer and dryer. 6-minute walk from the subway station. 4th floor walk-up, 3-bedroom. I was really drawn to this because the description said it had a huge common area. When I walked in, it did not really look like the listing. There wasn't much countertop space. If you look at the screenshots of what the apartment looked like, the lighting does not look like that. These brokers will put in a lot of effort to Photoshop just to make it look really good. You will get catfish. Nonetheless though, this apartment was still pretty nice. The common area was really big. They literally fit like 2 couches and then like a big dining table, which I really loved. Southwest and east facing windows. I'm not usually the biggest fan of brick wall, but this one was not bad. The guys living there had a bed and a desk. It seemed very cramped. This gave me a little bit more hope, but I didn't really want to commit yet. I realized if I go on Street Easy and I say like a must-have is in-unit laundry, it was very hard to find a lot of suitable options. I have decided in-unit laundry is not a must-have for me anymore. I've realized in New York, you're never going to get exactly what you want. The must-haves are, I want it to be like nice and clean, have good space. I will be going home every day and I want to feel comfortable, have a safe space to come back to at the end of the day. I'm not gonna be living in the laundry room. I also don't do laundry that often. I would rather have a nicer place to live and have to just bring my laundry to a laundry room rather than like paying so much just for the convenience of it. This next apartment was in Hell's Kitchen, luxury apartment. This place was so nice. Only $6,100 only, but there was a 15% fee. On top of this, this was only a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. A lot of the time people will do this thing where they add a flex wall. It's basically like a fake wall, but we would have to build our own flex wall. It would be around $1,300. Elevator, doorman, so many amenities, tennis court, ice skating rink, dog park, gym, really nice rooftop and views. They said that the rent includes all of the amenities. It was so modern, sleek finishes, floor to ceiling windows. You could see the water. It was gorgeous. Just calculating all of the costs, it would have been way, way, way out of our budget, but it was nice to look at. We noticed that prices were really expensive for what we wanted. I noticed on Street Easy that there were a lot of really good deals in Astoria. Astoria is in Queens. People say that Astoria is a really good place to live, pretty close to Manhattan. Apparently there's like good food, neighborhood vibes. I really want to look at this. I got a bit ahead of myself. I got super excited. I scheduled a bunch of tours for one day. I thought I was gonna sign this lease that day. This next apartment was only $5,000 a month, no fee. They also had 3/4 of a month for free. That effective rent would have only been $47.34 for 3 people. That was an insane deal. Very nice and modern, but some parts looked kind of unfinished, like the ceiling in one of the bedroom walls just looked like it wasn't really painted. The laundry was in building. It was a 2-minute walk from a grocery store. There was a CVS nearby, and the building was only 3 years old, so it was very new. There was also a gym. I think the gym wasn't super nice. I don't really see myself using it very often. The other parts of the building had a very strong chemical smell. I think it's because it was a new apartment. The next apartment was also super nice. There were only 6 units in the entire building. This one was a 4-bed 3-bath, only $5,700 in rent, no fee. There was a ginormous basement that could be used as the 4th room. We could use the basement as like whole lounge area. It was huge, but the tenants living there were saying living super far away from Manhattan is actually really tough. They lived in Manhattan a few years before, but they wanted to move back. Even though people say it's only 30 minutes, that really deters you from going into the city a lot, which is exactly what I didn't want, especially if my friends are all living in Manhattan. I want to have to be like, oh, sorry guys, I have to leave early because I have to commute back to Astoria, you know? The other thing is, it was weird because as I was taking the subway, I was just like leaving Manhattan and it felt very isolated. Walking around Astoria, it did feel more of like a neighborhoody vibe, but there weren't as many people there and it wasn't as busy. In a way, I can see people saying that's pretty nice, right? Like you get to kind of chill out from all the Manhattan energy and like fuss, but it felt kind of unsafe to me, honestly. Thinking about walking home by myself at night, I would not feel very comfortable. I think there is a sense of safety when there are a lot of people around. I did eat this really good halal bowl from this food truck when I was there. In the end, I can see why so many people want to live here, but I just didn't really think that neighborhood was for me. After this, I put a pause on touring. I just kept seeing the same listings over and over. Sometimes a new listing would come out. I think it was a new apartment, but it was just the same apartment that I had already seen, but they added new pictures with like more photoshopped lighting or whatever. I was like, okay. It was also super early. Apartments would say it's too far in advance, check back in a few weeks. That's what I did. After a few weeks, I started doing some more tours. At a certain point, I just got so frustrated. I feel like I just kept touring places, but none of them really made me feel like, ooh, like I can see myself living here. Hello. I am so stressed. I literally had to start talking to myself. I just got back from work. Well, not really. I left work a little bit before 5 because I had some, I had some apartment tours. I was very hopeful today that we would find one that was good. It's like kind of tiring. I have to walk around a lot. But then, even though I didn't want to go to Astoria, which is in Queens, there's a city called Long Island City. It's like just east of Manhattan. The commute would have been only around like 20 minutes. Long Island City tends to be cheaper, affordable luxury apartments, I'd say. This apartment that I was looking at was insane. It was a condo. This was $5,900 a month with a 1-month broker fee, but I negotiated it down to $5,700 a month net effective. There was in-unit washer and dryer only 2 blocks away from the nearest subway station. Technically a 2-bedroom apartment, but it also had the basement like the one that we saw earlier in Astoria. Super duper modern finishes. It actually had 2.5 bathrooms. At least one of the bathrooms also had heated floors. These windows were east facing. The ceilings were 12 feet high and the curtains would automatically close. There was a whole balcony. It was on the ground floor. The basement and the ground floor, because they're both ours, you go outside, they're connected and it's all private. We were thinking, what if we host like parties here? It was great. There was also elevator access, a rooftop. This place was really nice and we were highly considering this one. We looked at another apartment in Long Island City, $5,400 a month plus a 15% broker's fee. It was a 4th floor walk up. This was a 3-bed 2-bath situation, but the tenants were still living there and they actually actually built a 4th wall just so they could have 4 roommates there. They would have taken down the wall by the time we moved in. This place was really nice. There were also 2 floors. There was in-building laundry. It seemed really convenient. The price was really good. For this one, we were given a lot of pressure because we saw a lot of the other people who were touring and they seemed really interested in this place as well. It definitely seemed like a steal. We're also thinking maybe we won't be able to get this apartment because there are other people, they probably applied before us. So we were like, oh, well, we don't have our application filled out yet, so we might as well not try. But the more we thought about it, we were like, you know, let's just try. We're applying to a place right now. There are like 2 other applicants and I think they've already put their stuff in. We do have a slightly earlier start date, so fingers crossed. And we actually ended up getting it. We were very pleasantly surprised. We were still not entirely sure, so we went back to retour this. This is a really big tip. Always try to retour if you can. I know sometimes it's like really difficult to do that, but if possible, please try to do that. We went back to tour this place before we decided if we wanted to sign it or not, and I'm so glad that we did. The second time you look at a place, you aren't paying attention to like, oh, does this in general look good? You already have an idea of what the floor plan looks like, you have the videos, but the second time you go, you will pay attention to a lot more details that you did not notice the first time. The second time, you're thinking of already moving your stuff in and living in this area. We noticed that there were previous leaks coming from the ceiling. The floor was like on the top floor. We also asked the current tenants who were living there if they had some issues with that, and she said that there were a lot of issues in the past. There was also a lot of noise that she said. We also looked at the windows and there was a lot of dust coming from the outside. We did not notice that the first time. Thank God we did, because then we decided, you know, this is not the greatest place. We went back to the initial Long Island City condo and looked at it again as well, and we also noticed some more defects or things that we didn't really notice the first time that we didn't really like, so we also decided to not go with that. This next apartment in Long Island City, this was something else. It's a super nice luxury building. The apartment is super modern, package area. There's 24-hour doorman. These were 3-bed, 2-bath. The prices ranged from $5,400 to around $6,000 a month with no broker's fee, which for a luxury high-rise apartment is really insane. The $6,000 one had in-unit laundry. Cheaper ones had in-building laundry. The rooms were a decent size. The kitchen was pretty nice as well, but there was no common space. The best layout that we had would have maybe fit a small table, but definitely no couch. And that's honestly the catch. The price is really good. The rooms are not bad, but it's just the common area is non-existent. Aside from that, there's like rooftop, gym, a lot of really nice amenities. They also host events every once in a while, which was really cool. And they have a whole lounge area with like floor-to-ceiling windows. But then what happened is the 3 roommate situation didn't really work out. I'm not going to go into that story right now, but I ended up looking for a new roommate. I found this amazing girl who is now my current roommate, and we decided to look for 2-bed places together instead. Our must-haves and nice-to-haves were still pretty similar. I was really happy because we had like basically the same criteria. On top of this, I moved my start date to October 1st because a lot of the time the leases will start at the beginning of the month rather than the middle. I kind of just like stay at my sister's place, thankfully. So thank you, Amy, for letting me crash at your place while I was dealing with all of this. So yeah, this was a 1-bed, 1-bath, but you could add a flex wall, and they said that it could have been installed all the way to the ceiling and still have plenty of space for like a couch, and the countertop, it would have been like a bar situation, so we wouldn't need to get like a separate dining table, which was really cool. Floor to ceiling windows, $4,600 a month, which is pretty high, but honestly for what you're getting and the location, it seemed pretty good. There was also an in-unit washer and dryer. It was a really good contender because it was very modern. It was in a luxury like high-rise apartment, rooftop, elevator, doorman, package room, everything you would kind of want. It was still like within our budget of like hard max of $2,500 a month. But later on, I realized that the location was probably not as safe. On top of that, the only way for me to get to work is by walking. If I take the subway, it would just take longer. Also, the broker was really weird. When I toured, I was like, oh, can I see the rooftop? And then we went into the elevator. Actually, I went into the elevator. He pressed the R and was like, bye, and just let me go up to the rooftop. I was like, okay. I think that's the Empire State Building. I cannot tell. Gorgeous though, you can see the water. It was super nice, but like I said, it wasn't the best, so we didn't go with that, but we were really close to getting it. The next apartment I looked at was Stuytown. It's basically a whole town. I was very intrigued by this. I was very confused about what this concept was. It's just like a whole community, almost like a college campus. They say they have a bunch of amenities and like events, like during the winter time they have ice skating rinks, there's like cafes there. This was 2-bed, 1-bath, approximately $4,700 a month, no broker's fee, in-building laundry. The apartments that she showed me were really nice. I thought the room sizes were really good, but the thing is, it felt relatively old. It gave me campus vibes. It felt like I was back in college again, and I'm going to New York. I don't really see myself enjoying that kind of living situation. It just felt a bit isolating from the rest of New York City. I honestly toured over 30 apartments. It was so tiring and really stressful. I was doing this while I was working as well. It was honestly like a full-time job. After work, I would just immediately go to some tours. So it's Friday night. I've been apartment searching for almost a month now. I am so sick of this. Apartment searching in New York is actually like insane. I did not expect it to be so bad. Like, I know people have talked about it being awful, but like it really is horrible. My eyes are so tired right now. I should take a break. It's a Friday night. Like, I really want to do that. I want to be able to, I want to hang out with friends. I want to watch a movie. I want to chill. I feel like with my type of personality, I just cannot do that because I will just be thinking about housing the entire time. My back hurts. I need to do a little bit of work as well for my job. Literally all I can think about during the day is I just want to find a house, so I put in so much effort during the day, and yet here I am right now, no progress. At least it feels like there's no progress. At times I really just contemplate if I should be here. I love the city so much. It's just so distracting to be thinking about housing that I can't enjoy the city. Like, I'm literally in the middle of Times Square. I should be walking around, exploring. I'm just so frustrated. Like, I want to cry. Like, my head hurts. Why is it like this? Anyway. But after so much apartment searching, all right guys, so the time has finally come. We found an apartment. Let's go. So I just signed the lease. Honestly, it feels surreal. I've literally been doing apartment hunting starting in January because I thought I was gonna be in Sunnyvale at first. I deleted Street Easy off of my phone. Now is when I have to look for furniture. So, let's go. Yay. The story of it is really crazy because one day I saw this listing on Street Easy. I was like not too sure about it because the pictures weren't very good, and I couldn't make it to the tour, but the guy was like, oh, I really think that you should come in because it's probably gonna be taken. So my roommate's friend ended up graciously offering to tour the place for us. We really loved it. We immediately sent in our documents. Basically what was going to happen was the landlord was going to choose out of all the people before we would officially apply to the building. We really wanted it. We tried so much. We sent in like letters of recommendation just to really convince this landlord that he should choose us. Unfortunately, he told us the current tenants were actually going to stay there because of some unprecedented circumstances. We were super bummed out about it, but he told us the property manager was about to list another unit in the same building, same exact layout, and it was for the same move-in date. So we contacted him. He didn't even post it on Street Easy. We just immediately snatched it up. I am so happy and I love this place so much. Keep an eye out for the apartment move-in vlog where you'll be able to see the move-in process because it has been a lot. But before I go, final lessons of this whole debacle: you really get what you paid for. There is really no such thing as like a good deal. Even though I think that this place was a good deal, there are still some downsides to it, of course. But if you pay really cheap for a place that you think looks really nice, you're bound to have some issues. Like, that's just how people price things. And if it's really expensive, you get what you paid for. It's not a good deal. Really nice place, but you would have to pay a higher price. Even so, this place, I had to sacrifice some of my must-haves for sure, but in the end, I'm living in New York because I like the area. I'm not gonna be in my apartment all the time. So that's a lot of rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching all the apartments and kind of getting a feel of what the apartment hunting process looks like. Definitely such a stressful thing. I'm not gonna do this for another few months at least. For now, I'll be living here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!